Today we're going to talk about marine mammals, but not including whales. We will save that for a later date. What is a mammal? Essentially, they have a few characteristics that separate them from others. The pelage, or essentially hair or fur, that's made of a protein called keratin that covers part or all of the body and used for insulation and camouflage. They possess mammary glands in females, which are essentially modified sweat glands that make milk that contains sugars, proteins, and fats in order to feed the young. And they also have a single lower jawbone. Ancient mammals are shown in the fossil records to have arisen from a group of reptiles called cyanodonts at the end of the Paleozoic era. And those early mammals were generally small, shrew, rat, mouse-like insect eaters that had relatively large eye sockets, which probably meant that they were nocturnal creatures. They possess several system upgrades, the first being the circulatory system, in which all mammals are endothermic. They usually have hair that insulates them against heat loss, as well as other characteristics that do that. A four-chambered heart keeps oxygenated blood away from oxygen-deficient blood. Upgrades their digestive system. Ungulates or hoofed mammals have four-chambered stomachs with bacteria living inside to help them digest cellulose from plants. And specialized mouth structures, including teeth, pollen, saliva, things like that, to help start the process of digestion before it even reaches the stomach. As far as the nervous system, they have a large cerebrum that allows for a higher order of thinking, and bats and some whales can echolocate. Upgrade to the reproductive systems, monotremes. There are a few different species of this, including the platypus. Females lay 1 to 2 leathery shelled eggs that contain yolk, and they incubate them with their body heat. Young monotremes are small and partially developed at hatching, so they depend on their mother for protection and milk from sweat glands on skin. Marsupials have a relatively short development period inside of the mother, and newborns must crawl into the pouch or the marsupium after birth and attach to a nipple for milk and finish developing inside there. The placentals, which includes you, their gestation period is relatively long in comparison to other mammals. Nutrients, waste, gas are also exchanged to a membrane lining uterus called the placenta. You can see a list of different types of placentals here. Now we're getting into the marine mammals. One will take the sea otter families, or the Fissipadia. Location, generally kelp beds and coastal reefs along the Pacific coast of North America, and once found throughout the Pacific, but they were hunted to near extinction. And we're generally starting to bring the sea otter back now since they've been on the endangered species list. However, they are still endangered. They have a relatively thick fur rather than fat. They are very playful, vocal, and consume about 25% of their body weight a day. They also leave the water if threatened by predators or weather. You have polar bears, which are part of Fissipadia as well, found only in the Arctic in the northern hemisphere, and they are considered a marine species because they feed on marine organisms. They are the largest bear. They both swim and walk great distances for food, and their habitat is generally threatened by humans and global warming, and may be extinct within 50 years as the polar ice caps continue to melt and they lose their habit. You have sirens, which include manatees and dugongs. They're very once widespread and now found only on coastal areas. These are vegetarians that eat seagrasses and shallow water plants. Dugongs are marine, manatees are marine and freshwater. And you can see a stellar sea cow, which is now an extinct Arctic species. Okay, we have pinnipedias, which you can see the general characteristics listed here. They retain 4 modified limbs. They are fast swimmers and expert divers. They come ashore to mate, molt, give birth, and some to sleep there. They're generally found in colder waters, and most species are not endangered. You have eared seals, clearly called so because of the visible ears. They have long necks and can rotate their flippers. They have sea lions, which are highly social, vocal, playful creatures, such as the California sea lion. And then furred seals, which are thick, woolly undercoats, and they have 1 species in the northern hemisphere and 8 in the southern. You have phocids, which are the true seals, And they're not able to move easily on land, and they generally roll side to side or have short necks and no external ears. You can see all the fat and blubber makes it hard for them to be a terrestrial organism. Most species are marine, but few live in rivers and estuaries. And you can see the different types of seals here, which I'm sure that you've heard about in the past, such as the harbor, the harp, the leopard, and the elephant seals. Here you can see a couple pictures of seals just lounging around, so on and so forth. You have walruses, which live only in the Arctic and feed on general bivalve mollusks, echinoderms, and crustaceans, and some fish species. And they were once hunted to endangerment for large ivory tusk, just like the elephants. And that's the end of this presentation.